Hi there. Today we've come to an extremely windy, potentially very wet day. We've come to Robin Hood's Bay with a family. We've got Thomas, just a minute. We've got Thomas, our 5-year-old. I've got my daughter, the 12-year-old, who's holding the camera at the moment. 14-year-old Eloise, Caroline, my wife, and we've brought the dog. So we've got, apart from two of them, we've got the whole family here, and we're going to find out whether or not we're going to get wet, blown away in Robin Hood's Bay. So come and join me, and let's see what happens.
You can see here Layla and my son Thomas both trying to record. Unfortunately, Layla forgot to empty the memory on her phone. So after about 2 minutes of recording, walking around with a gimbal, her phone was full, so she couldn't record anymore. So anybody looking forward to see Layla's version of today, you're going to have to wait a bit. She still hasn't unloaded Whitby off there, never mind some from previous times. So poor old Layla's walking around with the gimbal for about 10 minutes without realising that she wasn't recording anything. One thing to say before you even get started, from the top car park all the way down to the harbour is one steep road. So prepared for a bit of a walk on the way there, and on the way back an even bigger walk. As you head down from the main car park, there are one or two modern buildings, some that are maybe 50 or 60 years old, but majority of them have got a bit more age than that. But when you get past the view at the top, which is spectacular, you then enter the older version of Robin Hood's Bay, where the buildings are probably 300, 400, 500 years old, some of them, if not more in some occasions. When you come to Robin Hood's Bay, there's two car parks. The one at the top that we parked in, and one a little bit further down, which we're coming up to in a moment. From the 31st of October to the 1st of March, they're both free. After that, they're not expensive car parks. But it's the third week of January. The top car park was half full, and the bottom one was full. So if you're going to come and visit, come early in the year, or come early in the day, because this place will get packed quickly. There are a couple of places to eat, but this one at the top, I can see where a lot of people, after they've walked into the town, will come and collapse and have something to eat before setting off to wherever else they're going that day. I'm the sort of person who likes to know how much things are before I go to a place, so here's just a quick idea of the sort of costs that you're talking of. As we're going down these steps, and there are a lot of steps, let me tell you a few things about Robin Hood's Bay. The story behind the name of Robin Hood's Bay is something to do with the history of the UK and England, more to the point. Everybody's heard of Robin Hood and his band of merry men that went around Sherwood in the past. And if you've seen the video that we've done on Sherwood, you'll know the story isn't quite as clear-cut as most people think. But what tended to happen in the 15th and 16th and then well into the 17th century, anything that was untoward, anything that was sort of criminal of nature, got tarnished with the words Robin Hood. So if you had an area that was known for smuggling, which this area was, it got the nickname Robin Hood, Robin Hood's Bay. In other words, Smugglers Bay. And as you can imagine, as we're walking into Robin Hood's Bay, there are a few stories that I'm going to be able to tell you about this place. If you'd have visited Robin Hood's Bay in the 1600s and 1700s, you'd have thought it was just an ordinary little fishing village. Nothing spectacular, but nice to look round. You'd have been wrong. Robin Hood's Bay was the centre of smuggling in the area. Just about everybody in the place was involved in it in some way or the other. The local revenue men would visit it on a regular basis, and occasionally they'd strike lucky, and occasionally they wouldn't. In 1779, some officers managed to capture a massive haul from the smugglers of gin and brandy. They went to the Bay Hotel and stayed in the cellar to stop anybody else getting the gin or the brandy while it could be taken back the following day. Unfortunately, men who'd been working all day would fancy a drink at the end of the day. Guess what happened? Yes, they drank some of the contraband that they'd captured. The locals could hear them snoring, went down, found that they were totally unconscious, drunk out of their brains, and informed the smugglers, who came along, took these barrels back, so that when the officers woke up in the morning with their hangovers, instead of having 50 to 100 kegs of gin and brandy there, it was all gone. That little stream that we were just walking past actually leads all the way into the beach harbour area. And up there, well, that's where one of the museums is. We'll come back to that later. While in Whitby, Bram Stoker visited Robin Hood's Bay, and he stayed at the Bay Horse. Well, if you read the book Dracula, you'll have heard of Lucy, and the room is supposed to be from the Bay Horse, or at least the ideas of it. In the 1800s, things started to change with Robin Hood's Bay, and it became more and more a tourist destination. You've got to remember, at that stage, seaside holidays were starting to become a big thing. In fact, it changed from this place known for criminal activity to being this picturesque, charming harbour that painters used to come to visit. There are a couple of museums in Robin Hood's Bay. This particular one is obviously about fossils, but there's one that we'll walk past later that's about the history of the place in a bit more depth. But there's also quite a few interesting shops. Some of them very touristy, some of them very much what you'd expect in a small village. Maybe one or two that produce a bit more interest than others. That place is definitely got that Smugglers feel to it, don't you think? You can almost imagine Jack Sparrow having a drink in there. How many people can say they've got a front door that's hundreds of years old? And those that you are a little bit keener eye, just next to the door, I'll notice one of those little lock things. So if you're staying somewhere, you get a code number and then you can get the key to get into it. Didn't see a sign on that place for it, but the sea's in at the moment, but you can see this little harbour. And the stream that you saw as was walking into the place rolls out here. Robin Hood's Bay isn't just about the beauty and the history. Well, not just about human history. Because it's one of the best places in Yorkshire, if not the UK, to visit the beach and find yourself picking up a fossil. Certain areas of the beach are particularly rich in fossils, especially ammonites and belemnites. Look for a dark, shale-like rock among the pebbles. They most likely hold these treasures within them. Just break them open and have a look. Is this one of the pathways that they used to sneak the smuggled goods into town? Right under the main harbour entrance, next to the Bay Hotel, the main pathway in. And then where would you smuggle them out? You've got to remember that all these houses up here, the locals would have had something to do with the smuggling trade, because this is what this place existed on. Hopefully the video's given you some sort of idea of how steep these streets are. We're going up here to visit the harbour wall, which is supposed to be mosaic. It's just this turning up here, which isn't far from the main harbour area, but apparently it's supposed to be a little bit unique, and it is fairly recent that this has been done. The harbour wall's supposed to be covered in mosaics, of which some of them were done by school children. And it's supposed to be fairly recently that this has been done. Yet it's something I suppose a little bit different. I think I was expecting it to be all the way along, but I'm no artist. I think it'd have taken a bit of time to do that all the way along, but it looks as though they were doing panels that were supposed to be connected, or maybe that's just my imagination. Tell me what you think of it in the comments. Think this is a plus or not for Robin Hood's Bay? During renovations of a 19th century cottage, workers stumbled upon a chilling discovery. A glass bottle filled with human hair, nails, and some other unsettling objects. This witch's bottle was believed to be a charm against black magic. Few unusual places. Don't know what that's with regard to, but it looks as though it's been there for a long time. I've no idea what that plaque's referring to. Now we're going back into the harbour itself. The other museum I mentioned about, Robin Hood's Bay Museum, isn't on a main street. What I'm going to have to do now is go down some of these very confusing pathways. Let's see where we end up. Even more resembling the smugglers' areas. Every corner you turn round, there's so many different ways to go, it's never quite clear. The point is, going down these paths, they always seem to lead to somewhere, but not necessarily where you'd expect. Do you turn left or right? Which way should you go? If you turn one way, is there a turn in the next way? Should you turn left or right now? You can imagine smugglers running down these alleyways, being chased by people, and soon getting away, jumping into somebody's house, and the revenue men just not knowing where to look. Do you see all the crab shells? Strange, isn't it? This place is such an adventure. Yes, unfortunately, when we got to the actual museum, again it's shut for the winter. And like the one on fossils, opens in April. But the museum itself is actually in this church just to the right. But if we go a bit further up, that field there is called the Old School Field. Don't know if they still use it, anything to do with the school, but and if we go past this pot and up this hill, I think we get one of the best views of Robin Hood's Bay, the actual town or village itself. Well, that's a view and a half. See in the background. During the smuggling heyday, pubs served as discreet meeting places for contraband deals. The Lobster Inn, now a restaurant, still bears the mark of the past. Look closely at the door frame and you'll see a faint carving of a lobster. This was a secret symbol used by smugglers to identify a safe place. No village by the sea is completely without chilling tales of supernatural. Robin Hood's Bay boasts its fair share of ghost stories. The Bay Hotel is said to be haunted by the ghost of a young woman who tragically fell from a window. Visitors hear her footsteps and feel a cold presence, adding to this very old hotel's atmosphere. Old wellies as plant pots. One way of using them. On moonlit nights, a ghostly carriage drawn by headless horses is said to race down this road. Its ghostly wheels kicking up sparks and its cargo filled with smuggled goods. Legend has it the carriage belonged to a captain who met his demise at sea, unable to rest until his treasures were returned to shore. Every alleyway seems to have its own little surprise, and I hadn't seen this shop on the way down. I must have done, but I don't recollect it. That's interesting.
Say that again.
My legs are tired from walking up those stairs.
Yeah. Well, certainly windy. We didn't get rained on, but what do you think to Robin Hood's Bay? It is something really unusual, but you can imagine why it's so popular. The small streets, the bay area. Yes, it's the middle of winter, but it was still, all the car parks are packed. So if you do want to come here in the summer or winter, make sure you park at the top car park like we did, and make sure you get here at a decent time. Look forward to seeing you in the next video. You might want to watch this first. Bye for now.